take a close look at this particular footage and these pictures. Yes, you've taken that all in? Well, apparently Meghan Markle wants this literally every single day. As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time. By the way, I don't know if you saw this headline, and this is just tells you how much things are slightly changing into the more, shall we say, getting back to normal maybe. You know the thing Lego, do you remember, we all remember Lego, don't we? It was such fun. Were you good with Lego? No, I wasn't particularly. I quite like Meccano and I quite like Scalextrics. Do you remember Scalextrics? The car wouldn't stay on the thing, do you remember that? Wouldn't stay on, would it? Meccano was good because you built it, didn't you? And Lego, are you a Lego fan? It's come back into fashion, isn't it? Lego World now, even in Windsor, absolutely. But they've done away with all of their, wokery sort of nonsense, pronouns and all that sort of stuff. They've still got the inclusivity figures, but what really the story behind this headline is simply this. You see, they're not selling, right? So when they're not selling, they've got to come up with something, and they just slowly move it away. And this is the problem with a lot of things that have happened. You know, suddenly they think, oh, we'll do this and people will back us. They don't back you and they just move on. Absolutely, that's your problem. Now, interesting with this, because people may move on or may not, because as we've seen, there is Meghan Markle attending a Broadway show. And when you look at the colossal motorcade that comes with this woman, that tells us that it's our job. She gets on a stage literally to tell us about, climate change, and it's our job to save the planet, but she can't walk a few blocks because she's so famous going to see a Broadway show, right? But actually there's a bigger story behind this, and this is where this for me gets really interesting, because over this side of the pond, Prince Harry was literally fighting for the security of his wife, right? And their two children, because they would like to return apparently back to the United Kingdom, but apparently they can't. It's not safe enough. And as I've said previously, Harry zipped over to places like Jamaica, Nigeria, Colombia, and then of course Ukraine, which is infinitely safer. But you see, this message, and this is the message that they're sending to the government over here, who are now looking at the final stages of that cases. This is what's required each and every time Meghan and Harry go out on an event. Now, this time around in New York, what was fascinating was there was no catastrophic car chase. It was very much under the radar. Meghan, of course, didn't bother getting too much of a scene. No mother at the side, no Harry taking pictures out of the side of the window. This was deliberate to say, this is the only way that I can get around. And what's again fascinating is, it's ridiculous, but of course it costs a lot of money. Currently, that costs Prince Harry a lot of money. There's no other company paying Meghan Markle. Netflix don't pay for this. The people who said come along to the show will have given the free tickets, but of course they're getting oodles of free press as well. But what this really was about was to sort of say to the government over here that this is the level of security that we will now require each and every time we ordain to come back here to the United Kingdom. And the problem that you've got with that is it all comes out of the British taxpayer. And as we know, there's always people waiting to down the monarchy. But suddenly, if we, the British taxpayer, have to pay for the likes of Harry and Meghan, who decide that they don't want anything to do with the public, they only want to turn up for the charitable events, slowly, if this becomes a win for Harry, it's a push forward. And it's a push forward for what he wanted, which wasn't what the Queen said was available. But he's pushing hard. And these pictures and this imagery is all there to tell the government that that is 100% what is required. They're almost painting a picture. And Meghan gleefully, with a rictus grin on, in Broadway, New York, where it's perfectly safe, no one would have looked twice at this woman. Remember, she's not that known if you stick a baseball hat. Well, no, she's making a point. But that point could cost the taxpayer of Britain a lot of money. And that's hopefully what Harry hopes to do. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.